Hey YouTubers, and welcome back to my YouTube channel Master That English, where we understand, analyze and interpret the important texts and concepts that may be part of your English curriculum. Our topic for today is the third section of the essay A Room of One's Own that focuses on Judith Shakespeare, written by the modernist writer Virginia Woolf. So, get your pens and notepads ready, 'cause here we go. The onset of the 19th century brought the new discoveries to the limelight. One of these new discoveries was the theory of evolution propagated by Charles Darwin. This theory explains the gradual evolution of humans. But wait a minute. The real question of debate is, how did this evolution take place? The evolution of mankind took place at two levels. The first was the internal growth that enhanced our mental ability, and the other was the external growth that developed due to the physical growth. However, among the two, it was mainly the mental growth that changed the course of human existence, as the mental growth enabled humanity to perform multiple tasks based on one's interest. One could choose from the wide range of domains that promoted diversity in humanity. But wait a minute, something's still missing in this image. What about the evolution for women? The answer to the question came in the work of the modernist writer of the 20th century, Virginia Woolf, who addresses the unproductive evolution of women in her essay, A Room of One's Own. First, to justify the unproductive evolution of women, Virginia Woolf provides an overview of women's condition from the 16th century to the 19th century. This overview helps us to realize that it was not women, but men who provided a voice to the condition of women. This is the reason why, through her essay, she highlights the unproductive growth of women through a man's perspective. Let us first study the physical growth of women by understanding the role they performed through the ages. This overview was disappointing, as the result shows no evolution in their functional roles. As a woman's functional role was confined to the domestic front. Based on the study, she also provides the reference of a historian named Professor Trevelyan, who justifies the cause for lack of evolution in women. The moment a woman matured physically, she had no choice but to enter into matrimony. Thus, she had no scope for mental evolution, as she remained confined to the four walls of the house. Hence, the house became a cage for a woman, where she had to perform only domestic roles. Due to this confinement, she could never explore, and as a result, she lacked financial stability. Virginia Woolf also provides the reference of an unknown bishop who makes an absurd statement by saying, "Cats do not go to heaven." Now, in what context is the word cat used? Cat here is a metaphor for women, where if we notice carefully, the animal instincts of a cat correlate to the characteristics of a woman. Just like a cat, who constantly grooms itself in its free time, women have also been known to be involved among themselves in enhancing their physical features to look attractive. The other animal instinct of cats is their innate ability to nurture their young ones. Hence, just like cats, women are also known for their ability of being the caretaker of the family members. This is why According to men like Bishop, such inherent attributes have made women ignorant about their external world, thus killing their creative potential. Men think that the act of creativity is a divine talent that women are incapable of performing. One of the famous creative writer she mentions in the essay is William Shakespeare. On the other hand, women only deserve the place of an onlooker who is capable of watching the divine works of Shakespeare. Bravo, Shakespeare, bravo! Such judgmental assumptions about women? Enough is enough. In the essay, Virginia Woolf provides a hypothetical situation to understand the reason why women have stagnant lifestyle even today. She provides this explanation with 3 stages of development of an individual. The first is childhood, the second is youth, and the last is maturity. She provides a study of the 3 stages through the life of William Shakespeare compared to a hypothetical sister of Shakespeare named Judith Shakespeare. Here, we notice the first phase is about learning and exploring the world around you. Where in the case of the boy, William Shakespeare, he is able to master the language Latin. That was considered to be the language of the scholarly people during his childhood days, with the help of the famous works of Ovid and Horace. Not only this, he is also given the chance to explore the world around him through the outdoor activities, where he enjoyed adventurous activities like poaching rabbits and hunting deers. On the other hand, a girl from a very young age explored the domestic activities inside the house. As a consequence, the only skill they got to enhance is cooking and serving. The second phase of an individual's development is youth, where the youth is provided the freedom to make choices. This freedom allowed William Shakespeare to choose writing as his field of interest and progress in life accordingly. On the other hand, a girl has no privilege of making choices because for her marriage is the only scope for progression. In the story, Judith Shakespeare is also forced to marry an unpleasant looking man from a humble background. On refusing to do so, she is beaten by her father initially. If she still doesn't agree, the family members plead with her to do so for the sake of the family's honor. And as a last resort, she is bribed by being presented with materials such as petticoats and beads. The final stage of an individual's development is the mature stage, where the individual has the freedom to take independent decisions. Because of this freedom, William Shakespeare was able to get social acceptance and success. He could have a place for him in both the worlds, whether it was his family life or his career. But for Judith, there is little scope for acceptance from the society. This is because the society has rigid opinions about women. They believe that it is impossible for a woman to perform creatively in social activities, which is why she has been compared to a dancing poodle. Hence, women like the poodles are incapable of creative activities. Not only this, but the society also stops the growth of creative women by physically and emotionally exploiting them. Even Judith Shakespeare is fooled by the actor-manager Nick Green. who has an affair with her without wedlock. As a result, she bears a child outside wedlock, thereby breaking the social customs and traditions of the society. When she realizes her follies in life, she commits suicide. And even after her death, she is denied a Christian burial, and her soul has no respite in the chaotic environment of the noisy pub called Elephant and Castle. So, what is the moral of this hypothetical story of Judith Shakespeare? The moral we have learnt is that the voice of a woman is constantly repressed from her birth. First by the parents in childhood, then by the customs in youth, and finally by the society in maturity. The only image that the society approves of is of a chaste woman who obediently follows the rules of the society silently. So, what needs to change for the growth of women? It is the environment that has to be conducive to a woman's growth. If this practice is not adopted, then the number of female writers will only be an exceptional few, just as the 19th century women writers like Emily Bronte and Jane Austen. And the remaining unprivileged unknown Brontes will vanish in the air like the mystery witches. Thus, talent will lie buried in the grave, just as the unprivileged communities in the rural areas that Thomas Gray wrote of in his work Elegy in a Country Churchyard. It is because of this harsh unacceptance by the society that most women in the 19th century would wear a mask of anonymity or unknown identity, and many a times even adopted male pseudonyms to sustain as a writer. One such hidden woman's identity has been discovered by the poet Edward Fitzgerald, who felt that the expression in ballads and folk songs reflects the expression of a mother while narrating stories to her children. Virginia Woolf provides the names of 3 female writers who at the starting of their career chose to hide their identity, as the publisher wouldn't publish their works because the society was prejudiced against women writers. Because of this hostile or cold attitude towards women writers, many writers, such as Charlotte Bronte, Amandine Lucien Dupont, and Mary Ann Evans, used male pseudonyms for their initial creative works, where Charlotte Bronte addressed herself as Currer Bell. Amandine Lucien Dupont became George Sand, and Mary Ann Evans became George Eliot. What is shocking is that this cold or hostile attitude towards women writing continues even today, as it did in the past. In context to the past references, Virginia Woolf provides the reference of Pericles, the Athenian general, who felt that chief glory of women is not to be talked of, because glorification was only for men. But the real question is, why was society's attitude different towards both men and women? What's surprising to see is that women, due to lack of resources, were unable to realize their dreams, whereas men were easily able to do so, even during difficult times. In such times, the romantic poet like John Keats, despite the lack of resources in bad times, was able to express his feelings about the melodious nightingale he saw in the garden. Away, away, for I fly to thee. Even the Victorian poet laureate Alfred Tennyson was able to travel from one hotel to another in search of solitude during his depressing days to seek inspiration. Not only this, but writers like Thomas Carlyle were simply able to write in historical events such as the French Revolution in solitude of his house for hours at a stretch. What's common in all these three individuals is that none of them experienced opposition from society, as women did in their hard times. The society was indifferent towards them, but not against them. Hence, along with external and internal growth, a woman can attain true strength with financial stability. Only then will she be able to afford a private space for herself and emerge victorious as a modern independent woman who has a room of one's own. As a writer, Virginia Woolf represented a similar strength to her characters by the modern literary technique called stream of consciousness, where Virginia Woolf gave strength to her characters by making their inner thoughts available to the readers. With this, we come to the end of this lecture. I hope it was enriching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, for sharing is caring. This is me, Karishma. Until we meet next time with a new topic. Take care.